Yeah.
Everybody in a position of learning? Alright, y'all listen. Welcome to Intro to Flails. I just wanted to go over the basics of the weapon because over the last few months especially, I've had a lot of people coming up to me asking me, so Bug, Flails, what's up with that? Or really words to that effect. Just sort of a lot of general, how does this thing work? So I just figured, let's go over how it works. The first most obvious thing about a flail is that it's not a sword. There's like this part, which almost could be a sword if you look at it the right way, but really is just kind of the wrong shape. And then there's this whole part off the end. What's up with that? It kills you. That's what's up with it. When you are swinging a flail for the first time, the most important thing to be aware of is the weight distribution and how that affects the momentum of the weapon. It's going to be really easy to hit people in the head. All of your shots, which are coming basically here or anywhere in this range, are going to be really easy to just drift up into someone's head. That is day one. That's your thing with a flail, is stop hitting people in the head. Don't do it so much, because it's going to happen a lot. Any shot you throw with a flail, just talk out loud. You're
Take
throwing
2 steps over.
Okay, cool. Any shot you throw with a flail it's going to be just a little bit off from how it feels doing that exact same thing with a sword. And it takes a while to calibrate for that. So it's best to just start being aware of it. You're going to throw your shots like you have a sword, and then they're going to go to the wrong place. So starting off fighting with this weapon, you're going to see a lot of people making big swinging motions, because if I put a lot of energy into my attack, I feel like I have more control over it. And that's not really going to help you. It's going to make it so that when something goes wrong, it goes wrong way harder than normal. And it's going to make it so that when you're doing damage, like not in-game damage, but like, ow, my physical body, it's going to happen quicker and to muscles that you're not even used to using. Sorry. Sound effect sponsored by the local airspace. So, the second most important thing when you're picking up this weapon for the first time is, after not hurting the person in front of you, because that's probably the easiest, not hurting yourself. When you fight with a flail for like the majority of the day, you're usually going to walk off, you're going to feel it in your elbow and your wrist, because that is where most people are naturally going to try and compensate for the difference in that momentum. You're going to try and keep things under control with those two parts. You're going to try and push your shots more to get them where you want to go with your wrist, because that's where you're used to fine-tuning. And that is bad. It is bad for your joints, your muscles. It just does not do good things for your body in the long run. That is something that it took me years to learn to not do. And the same for the elbow. You don't actually want to be pushing things here. That is how you get tennis elbow, which I've never played tennis, but I have gotten tennis elbow from this. The most important thing about the basics of flails is safety. That's really the long and short of it. It's picking up this weapon and getting used to the difference between this and a sword and how that affects the safety of the fight. How you're swinging, how that is affecting the person in front of you and yourself. The most important thing about fighting against a flail is very different. Now, you want to cause damage, right? A lot of people walk up against a flail user, and the amount of times I hear this on the field in the middle of a fight is legitimately mind-boggling. They say out loud, "Oh, I don't know how to block that." Don't tell me that. Don't like, if you're fighting me, you want to win, right? So don't tell me you don't know how to block my weapon. But also, when you start out a fight and the thing you're verbally saying is, I don't know how to do this, it's not really setting yourself up to learn. If you walk into a fight assuming you don't know how to do what you need to do to win it, you're gonna lose, and you're gonna walk away from that going, well, I just didn't have what I needed. Every fight is a chance to learn. So that's a big thing, I think, with this especially, is 90% of the people who walk up to you with a flail are not going to be majority time flail fighters. There's not a lot of flail names in the game. And most people are going to walk up to you with a flail and throw the standard fundamental shots, because the flail is really good for cutting weird angles that you can't with a swing. And that's, it's the main appeal, you know? So step one to learning how to fight against a flail is don't let people do the same thing twice. That's good advice for any fight, but it's especially applicable with a flail. I walk out on a field full of people I don't know, I don't fight often, and my test for how many flails you have at the field is how many times are you going to let me fake to one side and then sword arm chop. Just a straight up and down sword arm chop. And I do it to the same people 3 times in a row, because they're thinking, I don't know how to block that weapon. And there's a lot of different tricks and tips I've heard given about specific ways to move your shield in order to intercept flail shots that would be, you expect, oh, it's going to go to my shoulder, but now it's wrapping on my back. So you move your shield around like this. I don't think that is your most effective defensive option. The experience I have had being a main flail user, having hard fights, the through line is aggression from my opponent. The most effective defensive tactic you can take against a flail is to fight the weapon. As I talked about with the weight distribution, the momentum of your weapon being so different, being controlled by this part, which is not directly in the control of your hand, it's in that secondary situation where my weapon is controlling this. If you can throw this off, then you're messing up the thing I'm used to controlling. If you hit me when I have a sword, that's just a thing in my hand. It's very easy for me to anticipate how that getting whacked is going to affect where it's going to go and correct it. If you hit me in this thing and it starts pulling it in a weird direction, that's harder for me to correct from. If we're in the middle of a fight and I'm running the math in my head to make this thing go on you where I want it to by swinging this part, and you get your sword in there and go, actually, you're going this way now. That's where my whole plan comes apart. Now I am having to correct for a way I wasn't planning to move, and you've created a lot of openings for yourself. Can I get somebody up here with a sword and shield to help me demonstrate this a little better? I'm talking about tiny shield. So, if I'm coming in on that, you can see all the different portions of the weapon moving on their own. So, as I'm coming in, try and hit the ball with the flail. So I come in and he does that. I'm getting a lot more pull at the very end of my weapon, moving away from it. That ball, it's not heavy, but it throws things off a lot. And as soon as that starts moving against me, with a sword, I can just kind of immediately correct downwards. But with my flail, I'm also being moved back more than I would expect with a sword. So it's not as quick. And that gives Bash a lot more of a chance to capitalize on that opening than you would necessarily on someone with a standard weapon. The other thing is range. This can't kill you. I can't hurt you with this, with anything below this point on my weapon. My area where you are in danger of me killing you is very small. So as soon as you take this out of that range where I need it, this just becomes dead weight that I can't use to do anything effective to you. So if you just get that ball out of the equation, I mean, that didn't really work so much of it, then I'm not going to get this anywhere that matters to you before your lightsaber of damage that hurts me with all of it can touch any part of it. That is the thing that I see most people get caught on with the flail, is they treat it like any part of it can kill them. They are afraid of it. They want to stay back. And then you're letting me choose what range the encounter's at. I want you here. You can get to me there, but I need you here. If you get one step further in, this isn't my fight anymore. That is the most important thing I can think of to pass on to anyone. I've had this conversation a lot over the last few months, and the thing I keep coming back to when people ask me, how do I fight against a flail? Be aggressive. In all points, whether you're using the flail, whether you're against it, be conscious of the very important differences between what this piece of equipment can do and what your sword can do. That gives you a lot of advantages. There are advantages here to be sure, but these are the ones you kind of don't expect. That's the big stuff. I would like to continue this series to go into a bit more of the mechanics and really nerd out about the stuff about this weapon that I get really excited about. I'd like to talk to you about jazz music and how that relates, but I don't have time and you don't have attention span for that. So until I get a further point, that's going to be it. I hope this has been helpful.